Drake Seatold with Locked On Big 12 here on College Football Addiction. We are talking about the SEC this week. Not because they're going to dominate the ratings, not because they have the most teams in contention for the playoff, not because their games have been very exciting. Oklahoma lately has been great. Georgia's looked really good. They're like, we are SEC haters to some degree. There is good football that's played there. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of talent. They'll put the most guys in the NFL. None of that is what we're talking about. We are talking about the worst slate of games imaginable this week for the SEC. We talked about this in the offseason, and here we are ranting about it again.
Tragedy is the right word. I put it up there with some of history's worst moments.
The Hindenburg. This is the Titanic of weekends.
Hindenburg. Yes.
Did you ever think you'd get a Hindenburg reference on College Football Addiction?
That's a deep track, man. That blimp went down instantly. Like as soon as that blimp caught fire, it was done. This is like Coca-Cola in Atlanta cutting the Diet Coke with lime for as long as they did. Like that this is a tragedy. I call it the Citadel week in the SEC. And not one of these teams are playing the Citadel, but it's still Citadel week because this is where you slot the SEC to look around and say, well, it was better than a bye. This conference only plays 8 league games. BYU didn't get to choose who their ninth opponent was. The SEC does, and by and large, they choose the Citadel. And I saw an SEC fan tweet something along the lines of, well, it's better than doing a bye week. It's kind of not. Because I think Auburn lost their Citadel game to New Mexico State a couple of years ago, Jerry Kill in New Mexico State, which is hilarious. And I'm hopeful that A&M or somebody slips up this week against their bye week. Samford and Texas A&M. We're in the heart of college football. We're about to see Michigan, Ohio State next weekend. We're going to see a top 25 caliber game between BYU and Cincinnati in Cincinnati at night this week. There are some classics. We've got a couple of big games.
Georgia Tech Pittsburgh play this week. Pittsburgh Miami play next week.
USC is going to play Oregon.
Michigan. Yeah, you mentioned Michigan, Ohio State.
Conference matchups that just make my tickle. Like I'm feeling good in my tummy. This is awesome. And then I'm going to turn my TV on to the SEC Network and SEC Plus and SEC Network. And I'm reading all the TV schedules on Saturday, November 22nd, 2025. And here are the opponents. Coastal Carolina, Western Kentucky, Mercer, Eastern, I think that's Eastern Illinois. It might be Eastern Indiana, whichever one EIU is. Charlotte and Samford are playing top 10 teams. So where the Big 12 is going to, like, my thing is, I would value, I believe this, and this is how the committee believes as well. I would value BYU losing by 1 point on the road to a top 25 quality Cincinnati team. Same as we saw Notre Dame lose. We've seen Alabama lose. We've seen plenty of Texas lose to quality opponents. I would rather do that than beat the hell out of Samford or Charlotte or Mercer or win by 10 against Mercer, which is probably going to be Auburn's case here. And that's the mentality of the SEC. They would rather go lose on the road to Missouri by 1 than beat the hell out of Coastal Carolina. I really believe that's how the committee is going to value these games. I hope that's how they value these games because it's just such a throwaway that you get to skip a game. The Big 12 doesn't get to skip a game. The ACC, the Big 10, there are schools that are like, God bless America. I got to freaking play enough conference. I can't move this thing. That's not the case for the SEC. They do it every year right here, and it just sucks. Georgia's last 2 games, TJ, Charlotte and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's not what we thought they were. 88th strength of schedule, 88th strength of record, one of those two. And Charlotte sucks. So I don't, it just means more. Last best league. The SEC does it better. Dog, no. In the heat of the middle of what's supposed to be great and what we love about college football, these scared athletic directors, the scared commissioner just said, nah, let's play the Citadel. And I think that sucks.
It is brutal because we really love.
Bad for the people. It's bad for the people.
Hey, I'll get right back to the video, but first I do want to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper. Make sure that you are on the Sleeper app. We appreciate all of their support this football season. Use our code CFA for a 100% match up to $100. We will play the more or less game on Wednesday on the Power 2 live here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and don't miss it. Make sure that you've already deposited and you're already good to go while you're doing holiday shopping for everybody else, make sure you're on the Sleeper app taking care of yourself too. Check their terms and conditions because terms of use do apply. We appreciate Sleeper for their support. We're on November. It's November 18th. These games happen on November 22nd. You know, Drake, what we have left? We have 2 weeks left. And you know what we've been waiting for that we haven't really gotten yet this year is that chaos week. That chaos week in November. And listen, we were kind of close last week because Oklahoma did win. Now that's 2 CFP teams that were playing in Tuscaloosa. We almost got South Carolina to knock off A&M. Pittsburgh wasn't really competitive with Notre Dame. We'll talk about the Irish here in a minute. But we were maybe it could happen. NC State could knock off Miami. There might be enough. We thought TCU maybe had a chance against BYU. That was a close spread. Maybe you could get that chaos week. You know what we're not going to have this week? When Georgia plays Charlotte, who's 1-9, when Texas A&M plays Sanford, who's 1-10, when Alabama plays Eastern Illinois, that's 3-8, we ain't getting a chaos week. We ain't getting that. And maybe it'll be rivalry week, but if the ACC is already locked up by then, if the Big 12 is already locked up by then, the Big 10 is irrelevant because we know it's going to be Ohio State and Indiana there. Maybe if Michigan wins against Ohio State, you just flop them out, but then Ohio State's still going to the playoff. It removes the opportunity for that chaos week. And so, yeah, I mean, it just means more. I get it. I understand. Listen, I gave the SEC its praise. They're going to put more guys in the NFL. They're going to have more teams than anybody else in the college football playoff. They have more teams that are on the bubble than anybody else in the college football playoff. But a week like this, happening in late November, it's bad for the sport. It's bad for the fans. You think the fans in Athens last week that were all jacked up to beat the hell out of Texas, which I know Big 12 fans certainly didn't mind seeing, you think they're jazzed up for a 12:45 game against Charlotte with a first-year head coach who is 1-9? No, they're not jacked up for that. What are they going to be doing the whole time? They're going to be checking their phones for what's going on around them.
Alcohol sales will skyrocket for that game. That should Tropicalia will be flying in Athens,
just Georgia, to get through the game. And then the same thing for Alabama. Do you think Alabama fans would love anything more than, and so I'm not even really dogging on the fans there. As much as we give SEC fans a hard time, I don't think they love this either. Alabama just got embarrassed in their own house in a game. They outscored the opponent by 200 points and they lost the game. 200 points, 200 yards. Let's use the right word when you get paid to talk for a living. Alabama would love nothing more, their fans, than to beat a good team and prove that last week was a fluke. Prove that the Oklahoma game was their Florida State part 2, where it was a fluke and should not have happened. You ain't going to get that opportunity against Eastern Illinois. And I know that people are trying to hype up the Auburn game in the Iron Bowl at Jordan Hare the next week. Let's be honest, Auburn's not a very good team either, and they're probably much better than playing Eastern Illinois. But I'll tell you, it's bad for the fans. It's bad for the sport.
You know, I do blame the fans a little bit somehow, and I can explain.
Look at you going down this road.
Maybe I hate the fans. I do blame the fans a little bit. And another portion of this, I hope the committee doesn't look at these games and say, wow, Alabama, what an impressive win against Eastern Illinois or whoever it is. I really hope that they don't see A&M blow out the Citadel and think, yeah, move them above Indiana or Ohio State or whoever. That just is stupid to me. And the way I blame the fans is it seems pretty insufferable when I hear, it's not every SEC fan, but a lot of times it'll be Texas or Oklahoma fans, specifically Arkansas fans, throw into that category. If you're Greg from Truman, Arkansas, and your whole deal is, man, I sure am glad we're not in the Big 12 because the SEC, we make $30 million more a year. We got no revenue. You're 2-8, you know? Like you've got a really cool hot tub at the Tyson Athletic Facility on the campus of the University of Arkansas. How many times has Greg from Truman gotten into that hot tub? Hey, do weight room? How many times have you lifted in that weight room? What to what degree, aside from somehow still concession prices and ticket prices rising, to what degree has that $30 million helped your life? It hasn't. It's just helped you see your team go 2-8. So I do blame the fans to some extent because I think that the SEC fans love to tout, oh, money, we can afford to buy this game. We need an extra game off because the SEC is so brutal. Like, dog, it doesn't affect your life like that. It's not that deep.